Hey Bamma Nation, getting ready for Badbeat 14, coming January 9th, 2015. It's right around the corner, folks. 6.5 weeks out. Talking with Darren Smith, getting ready to take on Cooper Gibson. First off, welcome back to the Bamma USA cage.
Thank you for having me.
You fought with us for Badbeat 13. Walk us through the steps to get to that fight.
Well, I was originally supposed to be on the card, and then I was training, and then I got a call that my fight got canceled because the guy got hurt. And so I just kept on training, stayed in the gym, stayed on it, and then they called me last minute.
Like a week before, like
yeah,
the Saturday
I think it was
before,
like
I believe.
7 or 8 days before as to replace someone, and I was like, oh yeah, cool, I've been in the gym. My weight's still low, like I could do it. And so just to get back up to that high was excellent. And
you
to be
took
back
on
on it.
Jason Williams.
Jason Williams,
Walk us through that fight.
Coming out, we were both talking a lot of trash to each other. Him calling me out in the first place, like I didn't know what that was about. But getting into the fight, I tried to keep it cool and calm the whole time. I didn't want my emotions to take over and me do something wrong and then him get the win. So I think we went out and I hit him with the cross and knocked him on his butt and then took his back and got that rear naked choke. So I'm just excited to be back on the Bamma cage and getting out there and getting busy.
Now, how is training going to go now that you have a full set camp preparing for this fight?
It's probably going to go like last time. I didn't miss a beat. As soon as I got done with that one, or the last fight, I was back in the cage, back in the training room, training again. So now to have a full 8 weeks and one guy in mind, I think it'll be a lot better than the last time.
Well, speaking of training, who are you training with? Any shout outs you want to give to your training partners, coaches?
Shout out to OC Kickboxing and Mixed Martial Arts. Shout out to my coach and manager, Beto. And that's it, yeah.
All right. Well, Darren Smith, you have an interesting nickname. It's Hollywood. It is your first interview with us, so yeah. I'd like to know about how you got these type of things. So how'd you get your nickname?
The nickname came from ESPNU came into our gym and they were doing a documentary on up-and-coming MMA schools. So I was an amateur at the time and I was getting ready for my third Muay Thai fight. And so I didn't want to be bothered with the cameras. I was like, I just want to train. I don't want to talk to anybody. Just let me train. And they kept following me from room to room. And they were like bugging my coach at the time to like get an interview. So I was like, finally at the end, I was like, all right, I'm done training. I was like, I'll do an interview. And so my teammates were like kind of jealous and they were like, oh, he's getting like all Hollywood. He's all fancy now. And they ended up like interviewing for like 20 minutes, like way longer than everyone else. So they were like, oh, that's your new nickname, is Hollywood. And I was like, oh, you know, it sticks, you know?
Well, it goes well. Darren Hollywood Smith.
I like it.
All right, well, you're going into this fight. A lot of people like to know a lot about the fighters, not just the things that they do in the cage, but outside too. So what got you started in MMA?
Really, I played football from as a youngling all the way up into JC, and I stopped.
Youngling?
Yeah, as a youngling, as a youngster.
Youngin?
Youngling.
Okay, youngling.
Youngling, yeah.
Hashtag youngling.
Look it up. It's a real word, I promise. But I was playing at a JC, and the coaches didn't like people who had talent. They liked people who kissed butt, who was all around them.
It was kind of political.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one of my teammates was like, oh, you should go do boxing. So I started doing boxing, and I fell in love with it. And then they were like, you should do Muay Thai. And I was like, oh, what's that? And they're like, you get to use your elbows and your knees. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so I think after training for like 2 months, I ended up having my first Muay Thai fight. I ended up winning. I was like, oh, I'm in love. So they were like, you need to get a ground game too. And I was like, what's a ground game? Like, where do I get that at? And so
what store do I buy it from?
Exactly.
Got it.
And I'm still looking for that store to buy it from. But yeah, that's how I started out.
But going into it, you now know all the discipline that goes into it. It is the holiday season right now. How is that going to impact your training as well?
Not as much. I don't really like to pig out on holiday foods. I don't. My family's like really big, but I told my dad to like, hey, this is what I'm eating. I have a set meals that I can have, and then I was like, I don't want to be around anything else. So I literally eat my food in my room, away from everyone else.
You don't want those aromas.
Exactly, yeah. And just so I could just be disciplined. I'm disciplined enough, but now like cutting down between the holidays, it's like I'm smelling cake, I'm smelling chicken all throughout the day. So now it's like in my mind, I'm like, all right, I just have to eat my vegetables, and that's it.
You're gonna have Thanksgiving dinner January 10th, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then party for New Year's too.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Right
Yeah.
afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we are going into the new year. So, what are your goals for 2015?
I want to get as many fights as I can. I'm hoping to, do enough work where I get a title shot and make that happen.
You can see him take him on at Badbeat 14th, January 9th, 2015.